There's a certain kind of power that hides in plain sight. It's not the loud, booming voice or the expensive suit. It's the quiet, unseen force that waits patiently in the shadows of a courtroom. On that cold January morning, Family Courtroom 3B was thick with this unspoken power. Mark Peterson, my ex-husband-to-be, thought he was in control. He had no idea he was just a pawn in a much larger game. I sat beside my lawyer, Sarah Jenkins, hands trembling. For 15 years, Mark orchestrated every part of my life. Now he believed he could orchestrate my freedom too. He looked at me with a smirk, certain of his own brilliance. He didn't see the storm gathering. The courtroom isn't a boardroom. Truth has its own power. Mark saw this divorce as a hostile takeover, here to win and leave me with nothing. Little did he know the universe was about to scream no in his face. The quiet power in that room was just waiting for him to make his move. The moment came sooner than anyone expected. Judge Thompson asked Sarah to present her opening statement. But before she could begin, Mark shot to his feet. "Your Honor, I object," he boomed. The judge removed her glasses, expression unreadable. "On what grounds, Mr. Peterson?" she asked. Mark pointed at Sarah. "On the grounds that I am dismissing her. Ms. Jenkins is fired." A gasp rippled through the courtroom. My heart stopped. Fired? Could he do that? Mark continued, dripping with condescension. "Our finances are joined. I pay her bills. Therefore, I am paying for her lawyer, and I am terminating that service, effective immediately." He sat back, triumphant, certain he'd stripped me of my only defense. His own lawyer looked horrified, but Mark waved him away. He believed he'd found a brilliant loophole, a way to assert control one last time. Judge Thompson stared at Mark for a long, silent minute. "Mr. Peterson, are you absolutely certain you wish to proceed with this course of action? Think very, very carefully." But Mark was beyond advice. "I am absolutely certain, Your Honor," he replied with a smug grin. "She's fired." The silence was heavier than any words could be. He had no idea what he'd just set in motion. The judge nodded slowly, a faint smile on her lips. The smile of a hunter watching prey walk into a snare. Mark's confidence vanished as the judge declared, "You wanted control, Mr. Peterson. Now you have it. Present the case for why your wife deserves half of everything." The trap had snapped shut. What followed was the most humiliating spectacle I have ever witnessed. Mark, once master of the universe, was reduced to a sputtering mess. He was forced to list every asset and explain why I deserved half. His voice trembled with rage and humiliation. Every word was a confession of his own wealth, now being forced to give away. He tried to downplay assets, but the judge corrected him at every turn. Each correction was a blow. He had to admit the true value of everything, even the hidden accounts. The smirk was gone, replaced by cold sweat. The judge pressed him. "Perhaps you should highlight Mrs. Peterson's 15 years as a homemaker, the career she sacrificed." He could only nod, ashen. The man who had terrorized me for years was now a puppet, unraveling thread by thread. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't afraid. Judge Thompson turned to me. Her voice softened, but her eyes were sharp. All eyes were on me, but the fear was gone, replaced by calm. "For 15 years, Your Honor, I ran our household, raised our children, and gave up my career so he could pursue his. My contribution wasn't a paycheck. It was my life. In that moment, I wasn't just Mark's wife. I was Lena, stronger than I had ever known. Just when it seemed Mark's humiliation couldn't get worse, the judge delivered the final blow. "One last thing, Mr. Peterson," she said, peering at a document. "Before you dismissed her, Ms. Jenkins filed a motion to submit evidence she uncovered. Since she is no longer representing Mrs. Peterson, I will review it on her behalf." She picked up a thick folder. Mark looked up, panic rising. The judge read, "Ms. Jenkins found several undeclared assets, a holding company in the Cayman Islands, a crypto portfolio, a condo in Aspen. You weren't just trying to control your wife, Mr. Peterson. You were actively trying to defraud her and this court. This is now evidence of criminal fraud." The verdict was swift and brutal. The judge granted me 70% of the declared assets as a penalty for his fraud. She awarded me full ownership of the family home and sole custody of our children. She ordered a full forensic audit of all Mark's accounts. And she announced she was forwarding the evidence to the district attorney and IRS. In his desperate bid to keep everything, Mark had lost it all. The gavel came down. It was over. Mark sat there, a broken man, escorted from the courtroom. I felt no triumph, just relief. I was free. I walked out of the courtroom and into the bright, cold light of day. Sarah was waiting for me, a warm smile on her face. "He may have fired me, but he couldn't unfile this," she said, handing me the evidence. I hugged her, tears streaming down my face, tears of release. My victory wasn't in the money or the house. My victory was in finding my voice, in being heard. True power isn't about controlling others. It's the strength to endure, the courage to speak up, and the resilience to rebuild. Mark thought his power came from money and control. He was wrong. Real power is quiet. It's the dignity you hold on to when everything else is stripped away. In the end, Mark's obsession with control was his undoing. He tried to silence my voice and handed the judge the weapon to dismantle his world. My new life would be built on truth and self-respect. Real strength is not about power over others, but the unshakable knowledge of your own worth. The measure of a person is what they do with power.
What's something people don't know about stories? They never truly end. There's always a new adventure waiting for you. Just pick your next tale and I'll meet you there. Subscribe to the Story Circle and let me know which story I should tell next in the comments.